My name is Lauren Paulus, and I'm an immigration attorney and the owner of Paulus Immigration. In my practice, I meet a lot of clients who come to me and are telling me their story and asking me their questions, and during the consultation I realize that they are probably eligible for a U visa, but many of them have never even heard of a U visa. So today I want to talk about what is a U visa, what the benefits of a U visa are, and what the requirements are to apply for a U visa. So first, a U visa is a visa designed for victims of crimes in the United States. And usually the crimes that qualify are violent crimes, such as domestic violence, assault, trafficking, among other things. On the U.S. Immigration Services website, USCIS's website, they have a whole list of all of the qualifying crimes. So you can take a look, and if you've been the victim of a crime, see if the crime qualifies for a U visa. And then, so if you do qualify, what are the benefits of applying for a U visa? The first benefit is that individuals who have a U visa are eligible to apply for employment authorization. And then, of course, once they have employment authorization, they can get a Social Security number and other benefits that come along with that, depending on the state in which they live. They can also have a pathway to citizenship. That's one of the best things about a U visa. So once an individual gets their U visa, as long as they maintain it and stay in status, 3 years later they can apply for permanent residence. And then 5 years after that, they are eligible to apply for citizenship as long as they meet the requirements for citizenship. Currently, U visas are somewhat backlogged, so the U.S. government is only allowed to give out a certain number of U.S. visas per year, and for the last couple years, they have been meeting that cap. So what they've been doing in the meantime is still approving U visas, but putting the individual in a deferred status until the U visa is available. So what that means is the individual can still get their employment card and reside legally in the United States, but they just don't have the full benefits of a U visa, including traveling outside the United States, unless they get special permission to do so. And in U visa status, it's even risky with special permission. But usually about a year later or so, the visa becomes available and they can get the actual U visa and then continue on their pathway to citizenship. So if you qualify for a U visa, what are the requirements to apply? The first requirement is that you were a victim of a violent crime in the United States. The second requirement is that you suffered substantial physical or mental harm as a result of that crime. And usually there are some more obvious types of harm, such as broken bones, bloody nose, bruises, but there can also be less obvious types of harm, such as trauma, mental trauma, anxiety, depression, those types of things. The next requirement is that an individual has to have information about the crime. Usually this is not hard to meet because as the victim, usually my clients either know who the attacker was, where the crime took place. Even if they didn't know the attacker, maybe they saw the attacker drive away in a black Suburban, or saw them run southeast down Main Street, that kind of thing. So as long as they have some sort of information that could be helpful, that meets that requirement. The next requirement is that the individual was helpful, is currently being helpful, or will likely be helpful to law enforcement in the investigation in the future about their case. So usually this means that the person cooperated if the police asked questions, if the police asked them to make a police report, and that since the incident occurred, they have never told the police, no, I will not help anymore, I don't want anything to do with this investigation. The idea is that the individual cooperated and was helpful throughout the process. The next requirement is that the crime occurred in the United States. So this means that if you were the victim of a crime in your home country or another country aside from the United States, you are not eligible for a U visa on that alone. It has to be a crime that took place in the United States. And the reason for this is because the U.S. created the U visa to encourage individuals who are victims of crime in the United States to work with law enforcement and not be afraid to report the crime. And opening that up to crimes that occurred outside the United States would kind of defeat the purpose. The idea is to aid U.S. law enforcement. And then the last requirement is that the individual must be admissible to reside and get a visa in the United States. This is almost always a problem for my clients, and that is because one bar to admissibility is if an individual entered the United States without inspection or without a visa. And that's very common for my clients. Also, I see clients who maybe have a criminal record or who have been deported in the past. These things all make a person inadmissible to the United States. Fortunately, if an individual does not meet this requirement of the U visa, there is a special waiver for that. And it's a very broad waiver. So it covers almost every ground of inadmissibility. This doesn't mean that the waiver is automatically going to be granted just because it's available, but if you can show that you would suffer such hardship if it were not granted that it outweighs your admissibility reasons, such as entering without inspection or any criminal history or prior deportations, then USCIS will likely grant the waiver so that you can continue applying for the U visa. I hope that this information was helpful and that you've learned a little bit more about the U visa. If you or somebody you know, a family member or something like that, may be eligible for a U visa, I highly recommend that you talk to an attorney. It's a very complicated process to get a U visa, but with the help of an attorney, it should go much more smoothly, and you should be able to get all the information you need to get the process going. Additionally, I always want to ask that people spread information about the U visa within their community, because as I mentioned in the beginning of this, I meet with a lot of people who have never heard of it before, but who qualify for it. And I want to make sure that the communities are starting to learn more about this option so that people who have been victims of crime can come out of the shadows and apply for this great benefit for which they may be eligible. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to contact me at my office, Paulus Immigration. The number is 202-709-6439, and my website is www.paulusimmigration.com. Thank you, and good luck.